Greetings, everybody, and welcome to tonight's discussion. As you can see, we're talking about quest for higher education abroad by Kenyans. And what do you think could be the reason why we go outside there to look for education? And as you are all aware, education is a basic need. And it's not like we don't have institutions in Kenya that can offer us just that. So tonight, to have this discussion, going, we have Kenyans from across the globe. We have representation from New York. Perhaps Prof. Monda, introduce yourself.
Hi, Professor Monda from City University of New York, here in New York City. And thank you for inviting me today.
We also have David. David, please introduce yourself. And we have two Davids. So David A. David A is David from Uasin Gishu. Please introduce yourself. Can you hear us, David?
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
I am David Saina from Uasin Gishu County in Kenya. I am a teacher by profession, and I want to say thank you for welcoming me to this studio. Thanks.
You're welcome, David. Thanks so much for making the time. We'll go on to David, a PhD student. Please, David, introduce yourself.
Oh, hello.
Sorry, Sylvester.
It's okay. Yeah.
Sylvester Pole Manze.
Yeah, first of all,
yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm Sylvester Makobi, a doctoral student in singing at Indiana University.
Thank you so much. So the rest of the participants will be, coming along as we go on with the discussion. I'm hoping that I've introduced each one of us, and I really want to appreciate that you guys made the time to be here tonight. Tonight in Kenya. So I'm hoping that this discussion will really be fruitful because I have people with, massive experience, on board. So we'll begin on why do you think that we have Kenyans who go abroad in search for education? And I'll begin with the student himself so that he can let us know from his own perspective.
For me, I just had the opportunity to study at one of the best schools in music performance, specifically opera. So, and being one of the best schools in the world, I had the opportunity of meeting the professors from there and applying to the school and just coming and taking advantage of the facilities and the opportunities here.
Do you think you're getting the value that you went all the way to look for?
Oh, yes, definitely. Because like this school, for example, Indiana University is able to bring some of the world-renowned conductors and opera directors to come and work with students. So, and they bring them, these conductors and directors come from different parts of the world. So the fact that this institution has the resources to bring these people to come and work with students makes it a great place for me to come and study and then come back and continue sharing my talent at home.
Prof. Monda, you're a lecturer. Do you have him? Oh, I think we've lost Professor Monda. When he gets back, please let me know. Yes. Yeah, I was saying, Sylvester, the fact that you went all the way to study music, have you had people wonder, what is it, that you are looking for? And did you have to study that? Why did you pick that particular course, for instance?
In fact, I didn't even know that you can do a doctorate in singing. That was something that was new to me. And the thing is that I met some professors who were visiting Kenya. There's one of the opera coaches called Professor Kimberly Carbayo. And at that time, I was doing my master's at Kenyatta University. And we met, we talked, and she did share the resources at the Indiana University and asked me if I was interested to apply. And just seeing them, for instance, they have the opera house or opera theater itself. It's modeled to the Metropolitan Opera House, which is one of the most important opera houses. So it was a great opportunity for me to just go there and experience what I would when I go to sing professionally. So it's a thing that I really appreciate for the partnerships that some of these professors bring, and institutions are able to take their students to study.
Professor Monda, I'm glad we have you back. I think you had dropped for a second. Are you listening to Sylvester's story? Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, that's better. I can hear you. Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah, I was talking about why would a students, opt to go abroad to carry on, with their academics, as opposed to, going to a local institution based in the country. And from a lecturer's perspective, you could just give me, some insights on that.
Yeah, Professor, you're breaking up on your end. I didn't get the first part of the question.
Can you hear me, Sylvester?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I don't know if Mr. David can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perhaps, Professor Monda, there could be a problem from your end, especially just sound issue. I was asking, why do you think Kenyan students would prefer to head abroad for their studies when we still have lots of institutions locally available in Kenya? Okay, so I'm seeing Professor Monda dropped off again, and I think I will go to a parent to hear from this parent and teacher from Uasin Gishu. Mr. David, good evening.
Good evening, madam.
Yamune.
Come again.
Sawa sawa. Tonight we are wondering, why is it that we have our kids or our students based in Kenya going abroad in search for education when we have lots of educational institutions across the country?
Yeah, me personally, I had a student who performed very well some years back, and she wanted to go to Ivy League universities, where she can interact with the best lecturers in the world, the best schools in the world, and that was a dream. She wanted to study in the best universities of the world.
Best universities, best lecturers, and best equipment. If I got it right, Sylvester, is that the case?
Yeah. That is the point.
Great. What challenges have you faced so far, Sylvester, ever since you enrolled, to study that particular course?
Okay, I'm not Sylvester. I'm David.
Oh, sorry, Mr. David. I was actually addressing Sylvester. Sylvester is our Kenyan student based in Indiana.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of I don't say I had so many challenges because I had really, or rather, the professors had really prepared me while I was still in Kenya. But still, when coming in terms of fitting in the culture, kind of knowing when people communicate, like when they say this, how do you respond? Like things like keeping up with emails, checking like every day, and how to address professors, how to follow up, and the other thing, just the culture, and of course the food, kind of trying to find my way around on what I like to eat. But the good thing is that I got to connect even some of the Kenyans in the US who also helped make the stay easier. So I'll just say kind of the culture itself, learning about it. Other than that, I didn't have many problems, but I do see sometimes when we have a platform where we meet as students called Kenyan Students in Diaspora, where we meet like every month. And there we have students sharing their experiences, and we have some guests coming, like even Professor Monda would come and just talk to students, and we have different topics. So through that, I found myself getting well prepared to come here, and it was not that bad. But my first few days, one of the issue was the accent also. You would find it's hard for like professors to really understand when you say something, they're asking you to repeat, and it's not like our English is bad or something. It's just that even here in the US, you find people have different accents depending on where they are. So for both ways, for me, at the first time kind of understanding, and then sometimes we need to repeat, but it has gotten better. Right.
And have you had any challenges when it comes to you following up with your supervisor and getting your work done, on time, and perhaps just, balancing your grades to see that you don't have anything like missing marks and stuff like that?
Sorry for that.
It's okay. You can just mute that up.
Yeah. Let me do that now. Yeah. Again, the professor who I talked to before I came here, we had a lot of communication through email, and also, and the good thing is now we have Zoom, so we could meet up and we talk. And she was also in Kenya physically, so we talked a lot, and I was well prepared for that. And but one thing that I found in the US, it's the institution, or rather my course, expected that I do a lot of research, and you're supposed to buy your own books. For instance, you have 3 books for one course, so you buy the books, you read, and then when you go to class, you're expected to contribute like the rest. Compared to like when I was doing my undergraduate in Kenya, sometimes the professor or the lecturer would come with notes, and they would give us notes, and that's what you would do. You will kind of when the exam comes, that's what you say. But here, it's very the course that I'm taking really calls for a lot of independence and critical thinking. So that's one of the things that I really had to work on, like reading all these books, getting to class, and not being afraid to raise my hand and say what I know. And I found that even after some time, the professors would actually appreciate that, because I don't have only a US kind of point of view. I give them examples of Kenya, and I tell them even the diversity in Kenya. When you go to Nairobi, when you go to Kakamega or Nyeri, the culture is different. So with that kind of view, I actually found the professors in class kind of appreciating me kind of giving that experience.
Yeah, perhaps I can head over to Uasin Gishu. I'm not sure we still have our teacher, Mr. David from Uasin Gishu. There you are, Mr. David Saina. Mr. David, yeah. I would like to know from your perspective, and I would like that we begin this discussion also based on the issue that recently was escalated back in Uasin Gishu County. Sylvester and Professor Monda, you may not be aware, but we had, a case in Uasin Gishu County where a number of students, were to get scholarships abroad in Finland and Canada. However, not all the students, and if I'm not wrong, there's plenty of, complaints, and parents are actually demanding, their money back because the scholarship was botched. And Mr. David Saina is one of the people on the ground, and I'd like that he speaks a little bit about that before we can get to listen to the story. Or shall we listen to the story first? Great. So I'm being told we just air this story and then we'll have Mr. David Saina speak. Please, just watch this.
Watoto wetu waelekeze masomo yao mahali kwa takakana kwenda. Mtoto wangu mimi personally yako nyumbani. Amejifungia ndani ya nyumba. Ni mtoto msichana niambieni. 2 years down the line akiwa nyumbani. Alikuwa ameitwa Egerton University. Hakuweza kwenda huko sababu ya Monda. Mtoto wangu hayuko Finland, hayuko campus, ako nyumbani tafadhali. Maono yake na vision yake imezimwa.
Mimi kwa majina wananiita Shadrack Juma, mkaji wa Uasin Gishu, permanent resident of Uasin Gishu County. Nimeishi hapa tangia wakati nilipotoka kwetu miaka zaidi ya 30 iliyopita. Nimekuwa hapa wakati programu ilipotangazwa. Mimi mwenyewe nikaona kwamba it is a best opportunity kwa mtoto wangu alikuwa Egerton University. Wakasema kwenda taifa, mtoto wangu alikuweza kupata barua ya kuwa admitted to larger campus ambayo iko under Lorea University. Nikalipa pesa yangu 918,000. Alafu nikarudi nikaongeza 359,000. Is equals to 1,277,000. Nikaambiwa ilikuwa last year, nikaambiwa mtoto mwezi wa 11 ataenda. Mtoto aliwacha shule, alikuwa second year. Mpaka up to date mtoto amekaa nyumbani anahangaika. Mtoto hata kutembea hata kuongea imekuwa ngumu kwake. Tunaomba kwa unyenyekevu mwingi sana, tafadhali. Yeyote mwenye ako concerned kwa hii maneno ya Finland, hakikisha ndoto za watoto wetu wawe imetimia. Aturudishie pesa zetu tuangalie another option. Juu sababu wakati tunapoendelea tukingoja miaka 2 si kidogo. Wakati tunapoambiwa kwamba let us give the county government time, haingii. Juu sababu miaka 2 sio muda mchache. Kwa sasa mtoto wangu alipata cancellation kutoka University of Lorea. Akaambiwa kwamba they have nothing to do with Uasin Gishu County. Kwa hivyo wakatuambia about money, tukaambiwa twende tuulize Uasin Gishu County. According to our research tumepata kwamba hakuna pesa ililipwa kule ya mtoto wangu. Tunaomba kwa unyenyekevu turudishiwe pesa zetu, watoto wajaribu njia nyingine.
Kwa majina naitwa Isaac Korir. Vile mnavyoona sisi wote hapa tuko na mashida. We paid the previous regime of Mandago alifanya advertisement akatuambia kwa sisi kama Uasin Gishu, vijana wa Uasin Gishu tunatafuta kazi. So tumekuwa tukitafuta kazi, akakuja akatuambia one day hakuna haja kumtafuta kazi na kunaweza kuja niwapeleke outside the country. Akatuambia we apply. Akafanya advertisement. Pia nyinyi mliona kwa media ya our good county Uasin Gishu. Waliposti hapo, wakatuwekea hapo, wakatuambia we part with 1.2 million ndio tuweze kwenda huko. Tukalipa, tukafanya hivyo. We paid. Wakatupea some timelines, within 2 weeks uko umelipa. tukafanya bidii. Wazazi wengine hapa wameuza mashamba yao, kama mimi mnavyoona, my wife alienda akaomba loan, saizi anadaiwa loan. Saizi mimi na my wife hatuelewani kwa nyumba, ananiuliza pesa yangu ilienda wapi, na mimi bado niko hapa nahangaika. Tunasikia uchungu.
You can see, unaona wanafunzi the thing has been cancelled. Universities abroad wame cancel these projects, these programs. Why are they still demanding for money? So we are appealing to the Ministry of Education, especially Commission on University Education. They should intervene with these matters immediately. County government, kazi yenu si ya university, kazi yenu ni mambo ya defects. These are village polytechnics na ECD. Nini nawapeleka kufanya universities? It is not your mandate.
Yes, that is what has been going on for 2 years plus for, you know, particular parents based in Uasin Gishu County. And I'm honestly saying that these are the only parents that have come out to talk about it. There are many other cases of parents who've lost money and resources, you know, to make sure that their kids have a better life in terms of getting access to better education, as Sylvester was putting it, because there is better equipment and, you know, all those kind of resources abroad. But then how do we get, you know, to deal with such an issue? So to begin this discussion, I'll invite Mr. David Saina to start us off, because he's on the ground.
Okay, thanks, madam. Are you getting me?
Yes, please, we are.
Yeah. So it was a noble idea when it started, and it was a relief to the parents, because I'm one of the victims. I wanted my daughter to go to America to study in America, but she was not able to be given a vacancy in any of the Ivy League universities. So I later on enrolled in the University of Nairobi to do medicine in Kenya. And then my second born came, and she tried the same, but unfortunately she was not able to be admitted in the universities of USA. And when this story of county came around, most of the parents went to seek assistance from the county, because the county was responsible in writing MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, with the universities in Finland and universities in Canada. After doing that, they advertised, and parents applied, students applied for courses. They were given the universities and the courses they were supposed to do. Those ones in Finland applied, they were given the universities fees that they were supposed to pay. They also paid. Those ones to Canada did the same. And then we were given deadlines. The deadlines were not adhered to. Here, months went, 1 to 5 months, to 1 year, 1.5 years, to 2 years now. The students have not gone to Finland. The first batch only went to Finland, about 200 only. And the first batch to Canada, only 40, only 45 have gone to Canada. And the rest have not gone. And all of them have paid fees, and they have not gone. That is why they are now demanding for refunds. The process has been long overdue. The parents are very impatient. The students are impatient. They want to be refunded their money so that they can apply to other universities in Australia and other countries in America.
So, Mr. David, just as you take a breather, I would like to know, because any particular institution has a mode or, you know, a path of doing things. So was there an advertisement? And after the advertisement, did each student, or did your daughter, for instance, receive, an invitation letter to join that particular university, giving her all the requirements and what she needs to do?
Yeah, after advertisement, my son was interested. He was to go to Canada. He was to go to Canada. He applied, and he was selected to join Thomson Rivers University in Canada. So he was given software engineering, and he was supposed to go in September 2023. But remember, the process started in August 2022. But up to now, we only have offer letter, no acceptance letter, because the county government never remit the school fees to the university. The fees was supposed to be paid by February 26. So the county government did not pay the fees, and therefore my son was not given acceptance letter, and therefore she has not gone for biometrics and medicals and to launch visa, and therefore September is coming, is not going. That's why we are demanding. I am a victim. I'm demanding my money to be paid back so that my son can apply other universities. So that is where we are now.
Thank you so much for that. Professor Monda, I'm not sure we still have you online. Can you listen to, are you hearing us? Okay, I think we lost you once again. Okay, I'll head to Sylvester. I'm not sure we have the other guests. Yes, great. Sylvester Makobi, nice seeing you again. And I'm sure you've listened to what happened in Uasin Gishu. What are your sentiments on this? And for you, how did you get to go and study there? Perhaps you give me those two, perspectives.
First of all, it's sad to hear that, and Pole, Mr. David Sayana, and the other parents. It's really hard. I can imagine. So one thing I can say, my parents did demand to see, like, for example, my acceptance letter, and wanted to know what's happening. This is the acceptance. Who is paying for this? What are they offering? So through the process, they were pretty involved, and I thank them for that. And it is sad, but one thing that, as I mentioned, I'm in an organization called the Kenyan Students in Diaspora, which is a nonprofit in the US, where, again, we meet monthly, and for free, and we just talk about these issues. And the thing is that we even have a professor who has like a guide on what you can do, because for me, I didn't have to pay any money to anybody for me to apply. It's merit based. Just apply directly to the university, and kind of, it's, especially if you want to study with a certain teacher, all the information is online. So you can see, like, the university has an email address, and this email is connected to a teacher, and it has like .edu. For Indiana, it's indiana.edu or ie.edu, and the information in there is on the official website, so that you communicate directly with the university. And many scholarships of not only in music, but even when meeting with my rest of the students, when they talk about it, like even sciences, they're merit-based. So you apply, and they see what you've done, or they see research that you've done, or maybe performances you've had, and they use that to give you a scholarship. So what I would say is just maybe trying to make sure, like communication is between directly to the university would help alleviate some of the issues.
So I'm sorry to take you back again.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if you're getting some echoes, but I'm sorry to take you back again, Sylvester, because I think when you started, your conversation, we weren't hearing you.
Oh,
so can
sorry.
you please pick it up from the beginning, if you don't mind? Apologies for that.
It's okay. Could you repeat the question so that... Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I think you asked for what I feel about what I just...
Yeah, what you feel about your peers, what they've gone through, and also just let us know, how did you get, your opportunity to study in Indiana?
Yeah, first of all, I said Paula to the parents, and it's sad to hear that. And the thing is that, as I mentioned, even before I got out of Kenya, my parents made sure that they looked at all the documentation. Like, is this a scholarship? How much will you pay? How much are we expected as a family to contribute? And then it was directly with the university. And why this was possible is because most of these people that you communicate with have websites, and you find the professors or the administrators have their email addresses there. And if you email them, they will respond. And to know that it's real, you see that, for example, Indiana, the email is indiana.edu or IU.
Yes.
So you can tell that this is from a legitimate source, and they have their photos. So, and even with that, you find that if somebody uses that official email to do anything, they'll be caught up, and they don't want that. So maybe just making sure they communicate like that. And then having a community when you come to the US, because I did see, some students do end up coming here, and maybe they find what they found wasn't right. So not staying like alone, because we have Kenyan communities, African communities, or just church communities, just finding somewhere where you can talk to people. There are some people who do offer, like I mentioned, I'm part of an organization called the Kenyan Students in Diaspora. It's a nonprofit. You don't pay any money to get in there. We have monthly talks, and it's student centered. So students submit topics. Hey, we want to talk about mental health. We want to talk about how do you find scholarships? Even when you get here, sometimes the scholarship is really exactly paying your rent and food and nothing else, but you need other grants. You want to go to conferences. You want to travel back home. Where do you find this money? So we have sessions monthly, and they're just live on YouTube. So information is very key, kind of really getting information a lot. And again, the other thing I've seen my colleagues do is even reach out to the embassy directly. Like, do you know this institution? What does it offer? We got this information from so and so. Is it legitimate? So that is something that I've seen my colleagues do. And again, poleni sana to the parents and my colleagues.
Thank you so much, Sylvester. Professor Monda, we are happy to see you back. Leo sijui ni nini mbaya, yani wamedecide hawataki tukuone na tukusikize. So I'm really hoping that we can get to hear, your sentiments about what exactly you think about this particular case that happened in Uasin Gishu, and from your perspective. How can we, make sure that it doesn't happen again? Because this is just one of the case, and it's because it was a number of students going together collectively. However, I'm so sure there are so many other students who've gotten into this same scheme, and most of them have not been able to escape. They've been duped in a way, and it hasn't worked well for them. So give us your remarks, Professor Monda. Have we lost you once again? I don't know if we still have Mr. David Saina on the line. Great. Looks like it's me and Sylvester tonight. Sylvester.
It's okay.
Sylvester,
Yeah.
how was it for you finding, the ideal, place that you wanted to take your studies from?
Um,
And did you go ahead to look for who it is that you know in the United States, or did you just go blindly online? How did it happen for you?
I don't know. Am I allowed to share like links on the chat or something?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I've just shared a resource by a professor here called Professor Otiso, who's one of the founders of the KESA, Kenya Scholars and Studies Association, and he really just gives information. So that's a guide on how to look for like programs, and this is specifically for graduate programs. And according to him, you should look for about 5 universities. Just Google, I want to study this, I want to study engineering, which are the top schools. What was shared before, like you want to go to Ivy League. I mean, Kenyans are really smart. You'll be accepted, you go there.
Yeah.
So kind of researching the universities that you want to go to, then finding the program, like this is the program, this is rated as one of the best programs. And in that article, Professor Kefa has some websites like USA.com, top 20 in like MBA, top 20 schools in this and this field. So look for those universities, then go to the website, look to the professors, like see who's teaching this. And sometimes they have their research areas, like, hey, this is something that I would like, because sometimes you find professors themselves are the ones who fund you. So the professor has a pool of money, and then they have a graduate assistant. Then that's what you pay for your school. That's what you pay for your living expenses. So finding these professors and then emailing them, introducing yourself and saying what your interest is, and this is what you've done, and then kind of begin the conversation. And through that, you get maybe various offers when you apply, and that's kind of what I did. So for my case, in 2014, I grew up singing with the Kenyan Boys Choir. So we traveled to various places, and I met different people, and I would say, wow, this facility is great. I would like to study here one time. Though I studied at KU for my undergraduate and master's, which was amazing. That's where I got my foundation. I can't say that this is where I got my training. No, it was in Kenya, as you said. I mean, Kenyan institutions are amazing. So then I was in tour in 2014 with a group I co-founded called Mziki. And then during the tour, I was in my master's in KU, and I decided to audition and see schools during the tour. So the one who was working on the tour, Professor Kim Carbayo, organized. I went to different schools, met teachers, auditioned, and then went back home. Then after a while, I was accepted. Hey, we've accepted you, we've given you this amount of scholarship, and then this school said we've given you this amount. So at the end, I decided to come to Indiana. So having kind of choices and doing the research, I think that I would say helped me a lot. And kind of really knowing what you want and finding that person to work with. And especially, I emphasize them being affiliated with the school directly. Yeah.
Now there's a challenge when it comes to funding for higher education. And you being there, based on the fact that you did your undergraduates and your masters in Kenya, you must be having some insights on how and, when is the best time to, take up all these things. I'd like to hear from your personal, point of view. Mm-hmm. How has it been for you funding for your PhD? And what is it that you need to take note of? And when you're told of a partial scholarship, what does that mean as opposed to a full scholarship?
Yeah, a partial scholarship, sometimes people do run and say, oh, that looks, I have a $20,000 scholarship and I need to only jazz, I think 5,000, but that's I would not advise you to just coming or just taking that offer blindly, because when you come here, for example, in the US, in different countries is different, but in the US, international students can only work for 20 hours a week. And that 20 hours a week, the minimum wage is different. In Indiana, in different states, like Indiana, it's like $10 an hour. Another place you'll find it's $7, or it depends within the cost of living. So there's no way you can work for 20 hours and pay up that money, because you are also expected to do your assignments, because it will be a challenge. And the thing is that when an assignment closes, it closes. You can't go and tell a professor, oh, no, like this happened. No, because it's online. You can see like the time going, 11:59, the clock is ticking. You must submit something. Oh, sauti imepotea. Can you hear me?
No, I was saying, oh gosh, sorry about that again. I was saying, and before you know it, time is up, so it's closed. So just continue, please.
Yeah, so it's hard for you to kind of say you come and pay up the rest. So it's the thing is that most of the scholarships are merit-based. So it's upon you working hard. Because even when you come here and you're told you're supposed to have at least a B, and then maybe you trying to work and you found yourself you have a C, the scholarship you lose the scholarship. So it just calls for working and merit, and then networking, which is very important. And I remember even coming here, I applied like for 20 jobs. Some of them I didn't even hear back. Some wrote with regrets. And again, it's because of, it was my writing. So I had to go to like a writing center to help me, like, hey, this is what you say for this. And one thing I did find, and even among my friends, there's like a degree of being humble. Like, hey, sitaki kusema hii, ili nisionekane najionyesha, but they want you to write your CV. This is what I did, and this is what I'm qualified for. And then being confident. So that has really assisted me all the way. And sometimes after applying for that and being helped by the career advisor on how to apply for these things, I was just getting more and more like scholarships. I apply for this. Some I don't get, but I follow up. Hey, how can I improve for my next one? And they tell me. And through that, through my PhD, my doctoral studies, it's getting better, because like I got from one funding to another. And right now I'm about to complete, and I'm working at the president's office of the university. And this is something that I never imagined, that at one day I'll go and work there. No, but just through being confident and like talking about my experiences and sending the application and praying about it. So that kind of helped me, and definitely talking to mentors, because we don't know everything. So having those people who help you as you in the journey is very important.
How everything is going, and the fact that it's been able to build your confidence, Sylvester. And I'm seeing that Mr. David Soina is back online. I'd like to hear from him, from the case that was happening in Uasin Gishu. Perhaps Mr. David Soina, if you can hear me, just let me know, please.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. So you'll just move a little bit closer to the mouthpiece, or depending on the gadget or device that you're using, so that we can also hear you as loud as possible. I'd like to know what really happened to the students that already traveled to Finland and Canada, and what is the fate of those students that are yet to travel? Because I understand there was like a court ruling or petition, and I just don't know how far it is. Just keep me up to date with what's going on the ground, please.
Okay, as I told you earlier on, myself, my son applied to go to Canada, and we have followed all the procedure that we were given by the county government. They advertised the courses. Our students applied for the courses. They were given the universities and the courses, and then we were supposed to pay fees. I told you my son was given Thomson Rivers University to study software engineering. The boy was given an offer letter, and the offer letter expired in February 26 because the county government never remitted the fees to the university so that the student could be given acceptance letter. That means the process stopped there. And up to now, there is nothing going on in the county which is going to assist our students to be airlifted to Canada because money was not paid, and investigations are underway. It has been found that money was misused by the county government of Uasin Gishu, and therefore, from the look of things, the students will not be traveling because there is no money. Money was paid, but it was misused by the county government. That's why the parents are demanding for refunds. That is, I'm talking on behalf of parents whose children applied to go and study in Canada. And then the Finland case, we're also with them. The first batch of Finland students went, and the county government lied to the parents that it was a scholarship. And later on, the parents had to pay fees. Even by February 2023, those students who had gone to Finland were supposed to be deported back to Kenya because fees had not been paid. And what the county government did, they used the money that was intended to be paying for Canada students to clear the Finland cases. So it is just but a scandal. It has become a scam, and that's why the DCI the other day came. They are now investigating the Uasin Gishu government scandal. They have written statements from the parents and students who paid fees. They have written also statements from the county officials, and maybe later on they will be writing from the governors. The outgoing governor and the incoming governor will be writing statements also about the scandal. So it has become a scandal, and it is now going to court. It is becoming a court case, and that one is going to delay the process of our students going to those universities. So it has been a dream which cannot be achieved because of mismanagement of parents' money. So we are now going for refund. We want refunds because parents are tired and they have wasted a lot of money, and the money is not forthcoming. And
Thank you so much, Mr. David Saina. And I'm not sure we still have Professor Monda. I really wanted to hear Professor Monda's sentiment on this. So I'm not really sure if we still have him on the line or he's dropped once again. But perhaps to just keep us going with this conversation, I'm gonna come to you, Sylvester. Have you ever had, or do you ever hear of this kind of a case? Do you have any close person or relation that has gone through this experience, not the particular one in Uasin Gishu, but perhaps, all this in quest for seeking for higher education abroad, but then things don't turn out the way they are supposed to?
Well, I don't have any close person that I've heard. I've just like the case that was just played and just hearing it. I have not done it because most of the time when anybody asks me about advice, I just let them know about the Kenyan Students in Diaspora organization. Just go there, you find other students and talk about them about what you want to study. And then so the ones who want to study music specifically, we do advise them directly through, because a couple of friends of mine and I have teamed up with a few friends in Nairobi and formed an organization for classical singers. So we kind of do some workshops. Like I talked to my teacher here at Indiana University. She says, hey, I can come and give voice lessons. Professor Kim Karbayo saying I can work with the pianists there. So kind of starting to build these relationships. So by the time this person says, okay, I'm applying, they know me, they know my professor knows them, there's trust built there. And I mean, so far we've had 2 students who have applied through the connections that we've been able to like share, because I mean, there's so much talent in Kenya. And sometimes I'm like, there are people who sing so well, even so much better than me, but there's opportunities come. So kind of being ready for it and just making sure you're working with again, people who are legitimate, people who are willing to find their time to get onto Zoom with you and talk to you, and they tell you about their intentions. This is what we have, and you making the judgments and not rushing. And then before that, just also kind of talking to mentors and other people, not only one person. So because in life, I've learned again through the KSID sessions, you have different people in your life. This mentor may be working on this side, then there's somebody who's mentoring you on your personal things. So just kind of really talking to people and being straight on what you want in life. So yeah, so to answer your question, I don't know anybody personally, but I've been seeing these stories and the ones that you've played, which is sad. Yeah.
Yes. Gosh, so sorry about the echo. I'm noting that we have other participants online. I request that you please enable your cameras so that we are able to tell or know if you'd like to participate in the discussion. I can see Professor Patrick Ochieng online. So we'd like that you just let us know if you'd like to contribute to the discussion we are having, because the case about Uasin Gishu and many other cases are cases that cannot be ignored. However, it's very important that we get, the accurate information before we set foot out of the country, all that in pursuit to study abroad. So if you'd like to participate, please let us know by just enabling your camera. I also understand that Globe Traction is running on KTN News right now. For a reminder, we air Globe Traction every Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Kenyan time, only on KTN News. And we talk about these and so many other stories, affecting Kenyans in the diaspora, and not just Kenyans. We talk about everyone, with global reach and impact that is doing their own, acts in the community, in their workspace, in their work environment. And mostly we look at what motivation and inspiration are you building, or rather are you giving to the community members. So Globe Traction is running on, please don't confuse Globe Traction show that airs on KTN News with this live discussion. Because we started it quite late, we've been pulling through, and that's why you can see it's close to 40 minutes behind. I'd like us to wrap up this conversation because we have 10 minutes to 9 Kenyan time, and I'd like that we can go to our TV sets perhaps and watch the 9 p.m. news. Is that the case? So before that, I'd like to hear from Mr. Patrick Ocheng. Mr. Patrick Ocheng, I'd like to see you. How have you been? Long time. How is everything?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for inviting me. This caught me unawares, but I am doing pretty good. Thank you.
I think you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. So, Mr. Patrick, I'd like to hear your sentiments about what it is that people need to do before they can set foot in that plane, all that in pursuit to heading abroad for higher education. And welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, so quickly, I guess your question is in regards to the case that I just heard from David. So what they experienced, and I think I've also had a similar story with the Uasin Gishu County with regards to the Finland situation. So briefly, what I can say is just like Sylvester has alluded to earlier on, people need to be very cautious, especially about the opportunities that are abroad. So sometimes people engage counties, sometimes they engage certain organizations so that they are part of this collaborative efforts or maybe collaborative movements that seek to organize everything on their behalf. Sometimes the problem is that if you do things cooperatively or collaboratively, there are very high chances of being part of a fraud. So my general advice is that students or people should reach out individually to these institutions, just like Sylvester has said. Make sure that you have somebody who is a contact person from the institution, so that when you initiate all these processes or you do all these things, you can at least hold somebody accountable. Many of these people from Kenya sometimes they con our students, and it just becomes a bigger problem, especially the issue of the Uasin Gishu County. So from what I've heard, it seems like there's always a problem in Kenya, but if you deal with people abroad and you deal with people directly, chances are you will not be part of these fraudulent deals. So my advice is, as far as possible, deal with the individual institutions. Do not be part of a cooperative or a group of people, because chances are somebody is trying to use that group to extort money from you. So that's the advice I could give. And if you contact the institutions directly, they will give you all the documentations, all the paperwork. And I also, at this point, want to ask those who are applying that there's a student in diaspora organization called KESID, Kenya Students in Diaspora. I think Sylvester is one of the leaders. You can always use these organizations so that you can somehow try to vet every institution that you're trying to join, or every opportunity that you have access to. So through that institution, you'll get people who can advise you, so that whatever you're doing, you are sure that you are doing a genuine thing. Otherwise, you may be caught up in a situation like the Uasin Gishu situation, or the like what David has narrated to us, which is very, very unfortunate.
Indeed, that's very unfortunate. I can see Marina. Marina, your joining us, please enable your camera, and I would like to hear your sentiments about what we are talking about. And tell us also where you're from, please. If you can hear us, Marina. Marina, are you there? Can you hear us, Marina? We have 4 minutes to go, and I'd like to hear, how has it been from your end, Mr. Patrick Ochieng? Have you ever been caught up in a situation where perhaps some of your students have been affected with what perhaps has first Uasin Gishu, and cases of not completing fees when you're a foreigner? How are those dealt with?
Okay, thank you, Pascal, for your question. I think one of the things that I can say, because I'm in the United States, and most of the people we advise, they come to the United States, I think it's been pretty clear in terms of the advice that they get. So these cases, usually they don't find people who are trying to study in the United States. Most of the victims, unfortunately, they tend to be in this from European countries, and maybe because there's not a very strong network of Kenyans or people who can offer advisory opinions in those areas. So I have heard David talk about a situation in Canada, and then the one of Uasin Gishu is in Finland. So I think maybe there needs to be a better way of addressing some of these issues, especially through some organizations, maybe through the embassy. But I still come back to this cooperative thing. So when I feel like if you hold yourself, if you're accountable, if you do things by yourself personally, other than being part of a larger group, then you increase your chances of not being conned. But if you embed yourself in a group, then chances are somebody is using that to extort money from you. So I personally have not experienced anything related to what I have been seeing in the media with respect to conmanship. I hope that it does not continue to happen. And what I would encourage the parents and the students who are doing these things is you can always reach out to these institutions yourself. If you have to pay money, why do you pay money to a county government in Kenya? I would encourage you to pay that money to the institution. Just ask for their bank account, wire the money directly to them. I mean, you will limit or reduce these cases of being frauded. So again, I've not experienced any of these. I think there are very little of those cases, if any, in the US. So most of them seem to be happening either in Canada or European countries, which is really unfortunate. Back to you, Pastor.
Mr. Patrick, and I'd like us to wrap this up by getting to hear from Mr. David Soina, and just to get his perspective on. Did we lose him? I think we lost him. So now that you gave us your parting shot, which I thought was very important, Mr. Patrick Ochieng, I'd like to hear from Sylvester.
Yeah, I think it's just the same as Professor Patrick Ochieng has talked about. And in fact, it's great to see him here because he's one of the professors who mentors students in the US and does it, na moyo wote. Like, it's great even when we meet in conferences, and he wants to help, and there are such people. So I'd just like to leave in the chat the organization that he talked about, which I'm a student leader in that. And we have things on YouTube where professors like him and others just come and share their experiences. Students do come and talk. They share even challenges on, or even how to go about things, because there's also another thing. When you get here, how do you cope with everything? Or when you come here and, for instance, you do something and lose the scholarship, how do you go about that? How do you get in touch with the embassy and things like that? So again, my parting shot is just get information, and there's so much information online. Again, all the professors, whatever.edu, the university, you'll find them and their photos. And then I didn't mention this, but there's a culture of emailing that I had to adapt when I came here, because we're used to texting and everything. But now email, again, as Professor Cheng says, it keeps a track. So you email somebody, they say this, and it's an institution email. So the institution is actually liable if anything happens. So again, poleni sana for the parents and students who have gone through this, and my hope is things will continue getting better. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Mr. David Soida. Even in as much as he dropped off, I think his sentiments and remarks were quite insightful, and we can learn from those kind of experiences and events. I'd also like to thank Professor Monda, even in as much as we didn't get to hear his insight. I'm hoping we can hear him, next time. And I'm looking forward for us to have a discussion, cutting across the globe and not just focusing on the United States of America, because as you can see, this case wasn't for the US, even in as much as we are talking about, study abroad. There are so many other cases of botched scholarships and, either partial or full and those kind of things that have been witnessed from different, people across the country. And some of them happen because also they are not a pool. So not so many people are there to represent their voices. So I'm hoping we can have this kind of conversation and keep, insightful engagement and information to those who have interests in studying abroad. I really want to thank you tonight for the short notice for the whole team, and I hope that we can do this again soon. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Enjoy your time. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Have a good night.